Hi there, and welcome back to the World in Focus podcast and Portuguese Made Easy. I have a question for you guys. Have you ever met someone called Doctor and spent the whole conversation trying to figure out if they can save your life, teach you philosophy, or correct your grammar? Well, listen, stay with me today, guys. Today, we're actually looking at putting the fun back in the fundamental confusions of puns and professions. Puns and professions, we compare professions in Barbados, Brazil, Portugal, and around the world. So I want you to get comfortable wherever you are. Get your pen, get your paper, get your laptop or your notepad. Welcome back to Puns and Professions, right here on the World in Focus podcast. I'm your host, Sir Ignizli, your guider, your mystery man, whatever you want to call me. You're comfortable, guys. And even sometimes the misery of language, guys. Professional language. We're looking at Brazilian Portuguese, European Portuguese, and Barbadian dialect, guys. Well, we always have to sprinkle a little Bajan in there. So when you hear me breaking a little Bajan, it's because I am from Barbados, guys. Now, across Brazil, Portugal, and Barbados, titles carry lots of weight. And, sometimes they carry too much weight. Imagine calling an academic doctor in Brazil, doctor, only to realize they're not checking your pulse. They're checking your bibliography. For example, the only thing a PhD might operate on is your thesis, guys. And trust me, the surgery can be long, can take very, very detailed, especially if they're detail-oriented. In Brazil, anyone with doctorado, PhD, is formally addressed as Doutor. In meetings, emails, and even conferences, titles matter and even in online presences, guys, because, for example, in Brazil, you would hear, "O Doutor pode revisar este artigo." What does that mean, guys? Well, it means that or you might hear, "O Doutor pode rever esse artigo." Doc, you can look over this paper for me. Now, Portugal uses Doutor more formally, especially in professional and academic environments. But they do it in a less obsessive way than Brazil. Okay, Barbados, we use doctor mostly for medical doctors. But if you earn a PhD, Bajans respect it. Though someone might still ask, "So you're a doctor or a book doctor?" So I'm sure you've had that question, especially in an international setting. Now here's where the stethoscope comes in, guys. Medical doctors are always called Doutor or Doutora, even without a PhD. It is a cultural marker in some places as well. So you want to know the difference, guys, because when you travel around the world, you see those cultural markers of professions. Online examples would be Doutora, estou sentindo por aí, or aqui. Okay? Doutora, dói aqui assim. Now, if you're Barbadian, you would hear, "Doc, something hurting me right here, sorry." Okay? In Barbados, a medical doctor is simply doctor. All right? But if the doctor young, Bajans will test them to see if they know what they're talking about. And they might say, "You're sure you're old enough to diagnose me?" Okay? A professor in Brazil ranges from school teacher to university lecturer. It's different. A university professor with a PhD is still Doutor, but students often say professor as a sign of respect, guys. In Brazil, you might hear professor, "Qual é o tema de aula hoje?" Professor, in Portugal, you might hear professor, "Qual é o tema de aula de hoje?" And what that simply says is, teacher or professor, what we doing today, or what the topic is today. A tema is topic or theme. Okay? In Portugal, we have professor reserved mainly for teachers and academic lecturers. All right, university professors with PhDs can be called doctor, but professors is the expected address in academic settings, and it's similar in Barbados. Well, in university, professors are called, even though they're teachers, they are professors, okay? But teachers at college or let's say secondary school or primary school are called teachers, they're not called professors, all right? And at UE, or sixth form, you might call the lecturer sir or miss, doctor or professor. But Bajans will always, adjust depending on the vibes, guys. Professor, when we being formal, but sir, if you need an extension, guys. All right. So I hope that gives you some clarity. Let's look at why you have some of this confusion. Different countries inherited different traditions. For example, Portugal passed down the heavy respect for doctor, but Brazil multiplied it by 1,000. Barbados focuses on profession rather than academic hierarchy. Okay, we get academic hierarchy in the university, all right? And of course, in Barbados, language add a little spice too. In Portuguese, Doutor doesn't always mean medical doctor. In Barbados, doctor almost always means medical, okay? And professor most likely means university teacher. All right, and of course, there are a few professional things to look at. Even I call them puns, no pun intended, guys. Okay, academic doctor, PhDs don't take your blood pressure, guys, but they will raise it during, your viva. A medical doctor says take 2 or 3, 3 of these. Call me in the morning. A PhD says, read 2 of these and call me when you understand. Or if you don't understand. In Brazil, call anyone doctor and you're safe. Okay, call someone not a doctor. That made, their whole week, guys. Because in Brazil, they're very laid back. They're a very laid back culture. In Barbados, if you call someone doctor, someone in the back will whisper, Dr. What? Mango tree studies? So you want to understand. So listen, guys. In academic circles, doctor, academico, or doctorado, okay? And that is Portugal. In Brazil, doctor, doctorado, or Belgium, doctor, all right? Medical doctor is usually medical or doctor, all right? And of course, here in Barbados, Bajans would be a teacher, at college, at school, at primary school, secondary school, and even tertiary. But professor is reserved for university. All right. So I want you to remember this, guys. So today we've learned that academic doctors love research, medical doctors love saving lives, and professors love giving deadlines. And in Brazil, Portugal, and Barbados, titles tell a story about culture, respect, and how we see learning, guys. O conhecimento abre portas. O conhecimento transforma vidas. Okay? This is very important. Learning does carry you far, guys. It is open doors. So thank you for listening. I am Sir Ebenezer, your cultural ambassador for Solo Suricata, and your media guide today on this learning experience. I hope you had fun, as much fun as I had preparing it. See you soon. Cheers. Bye-bye.